Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're diving into a case from Egypt, a really disturbing one. It starts with greed, sure, but then it just spirals into something incredibly dark, targeting the most vulnerable. We're going to follow the investigation piece by piece.
You know, what's striking right from the start is how the police immediately sensed this wasn't random. The way the victim was found, it screamed personal hatred, not just, say, a robbery that went bad.
Right.
So the big question right off the bat was, who was this woman? And who could possibly hate her that much?
So let's set the scene. It's 2016, Kafr El Dawwar, near the El Mahmoudiya Canal, I think quiet farming area. It's morning. Some local farmers are near the water, and they see something odd.
Yeah, this misshapen sack, a schwal just floating there. Looks heavy, but it's still floating. Doesn't look right.
So they pull it in, and well, the shock must have been immediate. Inside there's a body, but it's the way it's prepared. Meticulously wrapped, head to toe in plastic sheeting, and the head itself covered with a separate black plastic bag. This isn't someone trying to quickly hide something. This is careful concealment.
Police arrive, and the initial assessment, it just sets this grim tone.
Yeah.
The victim's an older woman, maybe 60s, 70s, fully clothed, but the violence is stark.
Throat slit, madbuha, and clear signs of restraint, hands tied with a scarf and a shawl, legs bound with a clothesline, just awful.
And the pathologist sees severe bruises, multiple wounds. The feeling is this was recent and fueled by just an incredible amount of personal rage.
Right. The restraints suggest the killer wanted control, maybe didn't expect a fight, but the wounds, they indicate she fought back hard. And crucially, no ID. Nothing. So where do you even start?
Well, the police did start intensely.
Yeah.
They basically did three things at once. Interviewed everyone living nearby with a view of the canal.
Hoping for an eyewitness. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then scoured all the missing persons reports for the whole area, Kafr El Dawwar and beyond.
Standard procedure, but vital.
And third, they got a description of the victim out to the public.
And this is where it gets a bit weird, right? Because no one had reported her missing. No matching reports came up initially. For a crime this violent against an older woman, that's unusual. A real dead end at first.
It was only after that public notice went out, after a bit of a delay, that they got a call, a breakthrough. A woman named Amani Mohammed.
And she identifies the victim. It's her mother.
Inaam Hassan Elsayed, 60 years old. Turns out she was a well-known vegetable seller, a bayat kodar, respected in the community, raised her kids alone after her husband died young.
So suddenly this image of extreme brutality clashes completely with the victim being this beloved local figure. The idea, this was random. It just dissolves.
Totally off the table. The investigation has to look closer to home now.
And then comes the second big clue from the medical examiner. It wasn't just the throat slitting. The primary cause of death was actually a massive blow to the head.
Delivered with what?
A large marble slab. A low rokam kabir. Heavy. The slitting seems to have come after that, maybe to ensure death.
A marble slab? That's not something you just find lying around in a struggle, is it? That feels brought to the scene.
Exactly. It suggests planning. And remember these wounds, the pathologist also found something else.
She fought back.
Fiercely. Critical forensic evidence. Attacker skin tissue under her fingernails. She scratched him. Left a mark.
Okay, so now it's not just who killed her, it's who did she know well enough to let into her home, who hated her this much, attacked her with a slab, and got scratched in the process.
Precisely. The overkill aspect is significant too. If the slab was fatal, why try to choke her? Why the final knife cut? It almost suggests panic, maybe, layered on top of cold intent.
So the police focus on Inaam's inner circle. They talk to Amani again. She's distraught, obviously, but she points to one ongoing source of friction in her mother's life.
And it's depressingly common, isn't it? Money. Specifically, conflict with her son-in-law, Karim. He's married to Inaam's other daughter, Mayada.
Right. Amani says Karim and Mayada were always asking Inaam for money, and she usually said no.
So Karim gets called in immediately, and the police barely need to ask questions before they see it.
The scratches.
Bingo. Fresh scratches, crawbish visible on his face, his neck, his hands, and he's clearly agitated, nervous. He hadn't even tried to hide them properly.
It didn't take long for him to break, did it?
Almost instantly, he confesses. But then comes the twist that must have floored the investigators.
He says he didn't act alone.
Not just that, he says he wasn't even the main planner. He claims he was pushed into it, coerced, by his wife, Mayada.
Inaam's own daughter.
Her own daughter. Planned her mother's murder.
And the motive, it's just so mundane and
Yeah.
awful. Mayada's 24, Karam 25, unemployed. They have a young child. They wanted money.
Specifically, Mayada knew her mother had some savings, cash and gold. The plan was to kill Inaam, steal the valuables.
To buy a car for Karam. They calculated their mother's life was worth a down payment on a car.
It's patricide for essentially consumer goods. And it wasn't just them. The planning involved a third person.
Right, the disposal.
Karim's friend, Reda Mesad, a driver. He agreed to help get rid of the body. For 1,500 Egyptian pounds, they treated the whole thing like a job. Murder, cleanup, disposal. Just steps in a process.
Let's walk through that night, because the details are chilling. Mayada and Karam go to Inaam's house.
Yeah.
Just a normal visit,
It's
right? No
legit.
reason for her to suspect anything.
Exactly. Blend right in. And then Mayada, this is maybe the coldest detail, she goes into the bathroom,
And does what?
turns on the washing machine deliberately. That loud churning sound. It was to cover any noise, any screams, so the neighbors wouldn't hear her mother being murdered.
Wait, the daughter created a sound buffer for her mother's killing.
That's the level of premeditation we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable calculation.
So Inaam comes out of the bathroom.
And Karim attacks her with the marble slab, tries to choke her.
And Mayada, what's she doing?
Standing right there. According to Karim's confession, she was urging him on, telling him to hurry up, finish it quickly, maybe worried about the washing machine cycle ending,
She's directing it.
actively participating. Then Karim, making sure she's dead, takes a knife and slits her throat.
Daba.
And once it's done, the plan just kicks back in.
Logistics mode. They tie her hands and feet, wrap her head in the black bag, body in the plastic sheeting, put her in the schwal.
And final touch, the rocks.
Rocks, ajar, placed inside the sack with the body to make absolutely sure it sank in the canal and stayed sunk. Gone forever, they hoped.
While Karam and Reda are off dumping the body, Mayada's back at the house.
Cleaning, methodically removing every trace of blood and stealing what they came for. 7 gold bangles, a ring, an earring, about 3,000 pounds in cash.
The trial must have been quick after confessions like that.
It seems so. Karam and Reda, for their direct roles in the murder and disposal, got the death sentence.
But Mayada, her sentence was different. Significantly different.
Yeah, this is quite striking. She only received 4 years in prison.
4 years for planning her mother's murder. The argument, apparently successful, was that Karim was the dominant figure, that he pressured her, controlled her, and her courtroom behavior seemed to back this up.
What do you mean?
She put on this performance of extreme remorse, utter collapse, said things like crying blood instead of tears wouldn't be enough to atone. It painted her as coerced, maybe manipulated, deserving of leniency.
So the court saw her less as the cold planner and more as a reluctant participant.
It seems that narrative worked. But tragically, that 4-year sentence wasn't the end of the story. Not even close.
Right. This is just
Yep.
chapter 1.
Exactly. Fast forward to 2020. Mayada serves her time. She's released.
And her family wants nothing to do with her.
Understandably, her surviving sister, Amani, and other relatives rejected her completely. She was an outcast.
So where did she go?
She ended up seeking refuge with her late husband, Karim's family, his siblings, in Alexandria. They had actually taken custody of her son, who is now about 5 years old,
Okay, so she's with her son and her in-laws.
for about 3 months. And then, as the source puts it, her contemptibility and evil came right back to the surface.
What'd she do?
She stole everything, all the property and money belonging to her in-laws, the people who'd taken her in. Then she took her son, kidnapped him essentially, and just vanished.
Oh, no.
Yeah, total disappearance. Until 3 months later,
Where did she turn up?
back in Kafr El Dawwar, at a hospital, she walked in carrying her little boy, her 5-year-old son, told the doctors he was just tired.
But he wasn't just tired, was he?
Far from it. The doctors realized immediately something was catastrophically wrong. The child was unconscious, and his body showed signs of horrific, sustained torture. Covered in bruises from beatings, burn marks consistent with cigarettes, maybe fire, all over his body. And this detail is just sickening. All of his fingernails had been ripped out.
Oh, my God.
The doctors called the police straight away. Mayada confessed again
Confessed up.
that she'd been forcing her own son to beg on the streets she had, and she'd been beating and abusing him relentlessly until he died from the injuries.
She tortured her own child to death after getting out of prison for her mother's murder.
That final act, that absolute cruelty against a defenseless child, there was no leniency this time. She was sentenced to death.
So looking back at this whole thing, It goes so far beyond just greed, doesn't it? It feels like a complete failure of empathy, escalating from killing her mother to this.
It really does. The 4 years in prison, the supposed accountability, it didn't reform anything. It almost seems like it just paused her capacity for harm before she directed it elsewhere.
And that performance of remorse in the first trial, crying blood instead of tears.
It makes you question everything, doesn't it? How do you tell genuine repentance from a calculated act to save yourself? Especially when the person then goes on to commit an even more monstrous crime almost immediately upon release.
It's chilling. The source material mentioned this phrase, reflecting the horror. They must invent a way to execute her more than once.
Which is obviously legally impossible, but you understand the sentiment behind it. The sheer scale of her depravity, escalating after supposedly paying her debt to society, it's deeply disturbing.
It really makes you wonder, what does a case like Mayada's say about the limits of rehabilitation? Or maybe about identifying profound psychological issues before it's too late? When a prison sentence seems only to provide a brief intermission before even greater violence, that's the question that stays with you.